Hello everybody, today I'm going to be talking to you about symbolism and how it's used. We're going to be analysing Anneka-Rose's short story Crazy Glue. But first, a brief introduction to symbolism. So what is symbolism? Symbolism is a literary device used much like metaphor and simile. Its effect creates an attachment between the chosen language's literal meaning and what that language symbolises. This is usually achieved through the description of an object or even an ideal that pertains to conveying an underlying meaning set by the writer. Symbolism is certainly not limited to language alone. Its origins can be traced back as far as the caveman era, when etched drawings on walls were used to portray a narrative or retelling of events that occurred. Throughout history, as man evolved, so did our ability to create a lasting form of communication. Our capacity to experiment with different literary techniques and stylistics to create engaging and stimulating literature was also further developed. In the 1880s, symbolism was established in literature by French critic Jean Maurice at a time of great change. It garnered popularity through Jean Maurice's Symbolist Manifesto, which was published in Le Figaro. Symbolism has adapted over time to be used by writers to convey hidden meanings in text left for readers to analyse. Key features of symbolism. So some key features of symbolism are that it creates an emotional response from the reader. This is done through kind of forcing the reader to look more closely at what's being said without being said. It kind of creates a sense of attachment between the reader and the writer. Symbolism is also used as a vessel that can be used to deliver multiple meanings, which I guess is its kind of like base meaning. Symbolism allows writers to convey complex ideas. It also allows writers to convey complex ideas without having to say so much, and also kind of encouraging the reader to do a bit of the work. It encourages the reader to look closely at the text and engage with the writing. So yeah, that's some of symbolism's key features. Benefits of using symbolism. Symbolism is a diverse literary device and thus can be used in a myriad of ways to enrich writing and narrative. As mentioned earlier, symbolism is a formidable vessel you can utilize to convey different ideas or ideals in not so many words. Through language, we can portray these ideas to our readers through symbols in order to create an engaging piece, but also to encourage an emotional attachment within the reader to our work. Anneka-Rose's Crazy Glue. So the kind of main narrative is that we have a main character who's an unnamed man, and he's stuck in a very stale relationship. Stagnant marriage, sorry. It's established about halfway through that the main character is having an affair, but before that's established, he has a discussion with his wife in the morning about this glue that he sees that she's bought, and how it's this glue that's meant to stick anything to anything pretty much, and can hold just about anything. And she's explaining this to him, and then he kind of tries to disprove it by calling out things that are wrong on the picture on the box. So he goes to work, and then he comes home early from work, only to discover that she's glued everything down. And so he goes through the house, and eventually he finds her laughing in the living room, glued to the ceiling. He tries to get her down, but eventually gives up and laughs with her. And as this is happening, he recognizes her beauty, and he kisses his wife, and he's stacked up some books beside her so that he can reach her. And the books topple out from underneath him, but he is suspended from her lips. And that's how the short story ends. So, ways that Edgar uses symbolism. There are several ways which Edgar uses symbolism in this piece, but for the sake of time, I've chosen to focus on the relevance of the glue in this story. Crazy glue. The glue, or crazy glue, is this piece's primary symbol that we'll be analysing. Edgar frequently uses the word glue to drive home its importance and to encourage the reader to analyse its subliminal meaning. He also uses it in an absurdist way to reinforce that the fact that glue is not the central point of the story, but rather that it is what it's being used for as a symbol. Okay, so excerpt 1. It's glue, she said, special glue, the best kind. What did you buy it for? Because I need it, she said. A lot of things around here need gluing. Nothing around here needs gluing, I said. I wish I understood why you buy all this stuff. For the same reason I married you, she murmured, to help pass the time. Okay, so, and this is the analysis part. In this excerpt is the first mentioning of crazy glue. Edgar establishes quite early that the wife is not talking about the physical object of the glue bottle with this line, because I need it, she said. A lot of things around here need gluing. This is the author's first breadcrumb that he's left for the reader. However, if the symbolism here was not already evident, the wife's following response immediately reinforces that the glue is some sort of symbol for their marriage, or something that they're lacking in their relationship. Nothing around here needs gluing, I said. I wish I understood why you buy all this stuff. For the same reason I married you, she murmured, to help pass the time. Here we see the wife drawing a direct connection between the glue and their marriage with the word same inserted here. The author is subtly telling the reader that the glue has a symbolic connection to the character's marriage. Excerpt 2. No glue can really make a person stick like that, I said. They just took the picture upside down. They must have put a light fixture on the floor. I took the box from her and peered at it. And there, look at the window. They didn't even bother to hang the blinds the other way. They're upside down. If he's really standing on the ceiling, look, I said again, pointing to the window. She didn't look. Analysis. This is another instance where the glue is being used as a vehicle by the author to convey the disconnect within their relationship. The wife has bought this glue because she believes it will work and because she believes it has value. The husband then undermines her opinion by trying to disprove it. It's also important to note that this paragraph is one of 3 large chunks of text. Most of the piece is written in short one-line sentences. However, here we see a distinct break in pattern to draw attention to what's being said and what's happening. In excerpt 3, I got home early, I said. Hi, as I walked in, but there was no reply. I went through all the rooms in the house. She wasn't in any of them. On the kitchen table I found the tube of glue, completely empty. I tried to move one of the chairs to sit down. It didn't budge. I tried again. Not an inch. She'd glued it to the floor. The fridge wouldn't open. She'd glued it shut. I didn't understand what was happening. What would make her do such a thing? I didn't know where she was. I went into the living room to call her mother's. I couldn't lift the receiver. She glued that too. I kicked the table and I almost broke my toe. So this is the second large group of text within the piece, and it has quite a bit of symbolism. But I'll just pick 3 things to focus on here. So there's number 1, the chair. Symbolic of furniture, like used to making yourself comfortable. As the husband gets home, he tries to pull out a chair to sit down, and this could be a symbol for him and his wife getting too comfortable around one another, and thus them not valuing each other as they once did. The second thing is the phone. The wife gluing the phone down could be a representation of the husband searching outwardly for someone else to provide answers to their problems. We could make this assumption because of what the character is literally doing. And this could be a reference to what he has been doing, because he does reference in the piece that he thinks that she knows that he's having an affair. The third thing is the table. The table in this scene could be indicative to how it might feel sometimes being in a long-term relationship or marriage. It can seem immovable, stagnant, and painful at times. Okay, so how to apply symbolism to your work. There are several ways you can use symbolism in your work to create a story with layered levels of meaning to it. We've seen some examples of it in Carrot's work through using objects to portray relationships and actions. He also used it structurally to attract the attention of the reader to certain parts of the story. You can use symbolism similarly, or you can go beyond objects and attach symbolic meanings to characters or locations. So this is a short original work that I wrote using symbolism. Water. I've drowned in you more times than I can count. However, your depths can only reach the shoreline of my soul. I've waded in your waters, I jumped in, clothes and all. But maybe if I'd dived head first, I would have understood what it is to fall. Then maybe I wouldn't have gone so easily, maybe I wouldn't have answered love to your call. And for you to sip from my cup so frequently, I'd thought surely this couldn't be something just casual. But I heard you joking with your friends, there was no need for you to be cruel. I'm done pouring myself over you, I've gone out with the tide, and it's true there's plenty of fish in the sea, but my love is one of a kind. No more can I quench the thirst of another to leave myself parched. No more will I waste the salt of my tears to shower your beached and stagnant heart. I wish you all the best with your conquests, your triumphs and your thrills, but tell me please, is your cup ever thirsty when it always remains unfilled? How I've applied symbolism in water. So in this short piece of prose poetry told from first-person perspective, I've used water as a symbol for emotion and love. I've done this through my choice of wording. I've reflected an undertone of emotion whilst consistently using words that can be analysed to have a symbolic meaning. Symbolism is very, symbolism is very easy to use, I think, in poetry and in short stories because it's generally shorter than a larger piece of work, and so you've kind of got more time to reflect on what those words mean and the underlying meanings to them. Okay, so just some examples from the text here. I've drowned in you. This would not be read in a literal sense. It is left for the reader to analyse and determine what it is symbolic of. I'm done pouring myself over you. This sentence is providing the reader with a physical description to visualize as a portrayal of an emotional idea, which I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier, but it is that is a key feature of symbolism, to describe a physical appearance so that the reader can get an idea of what the emotional value of a scene is, if that makes sense. And for you to sip from my cup so frequently, I thought surely this couldn't be something just casual. This line could be interpreted a couple of ways in reference to the cup. The cup could be symbolic of a sexual relationship or something emotional. What's important though here is that the words that follow are indicators to the reader that this line has a symbolic nature and its interpretation is not literal. But tell me, please, is your cup ever thirsty when it always remains unfilled? The cup is mentioned previously, as we just read, to make it clear to the reader that it's not a literal object that's being discussed, but rather someone's capacity to love or to care for someone else. An important part of successfully establishing symbolism in text is making sure that these themes or ideas that you are trying to convey symbolically are reaffirmed somewhere throughout the text. It's important to sustain an idea and make it clear without over-explaining it. So yes, that's my speech. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a lovely semester.